So this year I'm doing the Vajrsattva retreat, so it's a good opportunity to do purification. So I'm trying to I use the four opponent powers for my purification, and then there's different wordings for it. But for me to remember it in an easier way, I often use 4 R's. So regret, reliance, remedial, action, and resolve. So I'll just share a little because it's a lot, and then I'll share a bit of my experience through the purification process, and then some of the benefits that I see that are coming up. So I will just shorten everything. If not, we'll be having medicine meal instead. So okay, so I start with regret. So I've noticed that the stronger that there's this sense of regret, the stronger the following 3 R's will be. And then it's like it's more like, oh, I did something non-virtuous, and then I will experience the unhappiness cause it causes suffering, and virtuous will create happiness. So the actions that I've done, it will ripen someday, and then I don't want it to ripen it only at the time of death, so it will be super scary. So since I have the opportunity, clean it up now. And then I also saw the difference between regret and guilt when I work on something that I've done that's heavier in terms of non-virtuous actions. So the guilt goes more into like, how could I even do something like that? Why did I even do that? I'm inhuman, and you know the story. Yeah. So the self-centeredness and the self-beating will take over. So regret doesn't go into that part of it. It's more like very clean, very clear. It's like, okay, I did something wrong, so I want to make amends for it now. So it's very different. And then I could also see guilt causes more afflictions after the self-centeredness and the self-beating takes over. So for reliance, there are 2 kinds of reliance, and I really like the way that Venerable Thubten explains it this retreat. It feels closer to my heart. She says that reliance is putting myself under the compassionate care and guidance of the Buddha and his teachings. So it feels like once we go off track, we want to come back on track to be in line with the 3 jewels. So the second kind of reliance is to cultivate compassion and love for sentient beings. Because when we do non-virtuous, we usually do it to sentient beings, causing them harm or suffering. So she mentioned that this is something that's going against our good heart. So now we will try to repair and reconcile the relation with sentient beings. And I've also noticed, like when I say I take refuge, sometimes it gets a bit like automation, like, oh, I take refuge. So when it happens and I notice it, I will just add some words to make it connect. I will say something like, from the very depth of my heart, I, Thubten Pelgye, lives after lives take refuge. So it's like, okay, you are making that commitment to take refuge life after life, and you're also creating the causes. So there is this connection there with the 3 jewels. So for remedial actions, it's actions that we do to counteract non-virtuous. And I've been reading a Lamrim. So in Geshe Zopa commentary on steps on the path to enlightenment, there are 6 ways to do it. So here we actually do, I do offerings, food offerings, recite the 100 syllables mantra. I do prostrations in the chapel. And then I think of emptiness in terms of causes and condition and dependent arising. So we do have teachings from Venerables here. So these are some ways that we can do remedial action. And then the last one is resolve, which is like, I don't want to do this again, not in this life, and hopefully not in my future life as well. So there are certain things that I can't commit totally. So I would just say maybe I do not want to do this till the end of the day. So it doesn't seem so tight, and there's no space for negotiation. I don't think that's what the Buddha wants us to do. So, and that's okay. There's no judgy Buddha. So yeah, thank goodness. So the next part is my experience throughout this month. It feels like washing machine when I do my purification. You go into the session and then dirt arises and you see everything. And then through the visualization and mantra, it's like you spin and you wash your dirt. And then after that, when you come out, sometimes I feel lighter. Sometimes, sometimes it just feels like, okay, I feel heavier and I know there's some more work to be done there. So I have to confess, I teared many times during the session. There's this strong, I don't know how to say, it's just a strong feeling of regret. And it's like, I don't want to do this ever again. And the purification seems to go very deep into my bones. Like sometimes it feels like I'm going to be flung off my cushion. So yeah, it's very, very powerful actually. It's also interesting to see some experience arising. I get goosebumps sometimes. I perspire a lot sometimes. I get frustrated at times. Sometimes there's vibration from the mantra. But I think that's not the purpose for me. I would just focus on the purification because these are just bodily sensations. So when you die, I don't think that's going to be helpful. It's the purification that will get me somewhere on the path. So just let that kind of bypass product or something, just let it go and just concentrate on purifying. So some of the benefits that I see that are starting to arise is that I start to read the Lambrim and I start noticing like, how come I didn't hear it this way before? It's like, I've been reading this for like 8 years at least. I don't see it in this way. It's like, oh, okay, there's a new way of understanding the Lamrim. And also, I could see a difference in the mind asking, is this for life, just this life, or is this helping me in my future life? So, am I caught up in the 8 worldly concerns again? I see the mind of jealousy, anger, the different states, and it's getting faster when I try to catch them now so that I can apply the antidotes and then to stop that proliferating mind. So I also heard before, like once you purify, you have virtuous dreams. So I got that a couple of times in the past, but not now. I don't sleep very much now, so I don't know. But yeah, I had near-death experiences, so it's hard not to believe this kind of thing. But I think something that feels more real for me is more like I could stay positive. I could stay on top of my emotions when things start to get difficult. I'm starting to see things in a wider perspective. And then, yeah, when things happen, can I turn my mind back to the Dharma? So I think that's more real for me. I also see certain wrong views that I used to have and trying to use the Lamrim to turn it around. So one example is we often talk about being harsh to ourselves and then we will be harsh to others as well. So I could see mine going the other extreme, which is that when I use harsh words against others, I have this tendency to times two back to myself. Like it's a way of so-called punishing myself. So that's very ignorant and very non-virtuous. So it's also pretty dangerous. So yeah, I see a lot of clarity this time and the speed that the way that I'm catching all this. So I think the purification is helping. So yeah, another benefit that I see is being more grounded, more open and confident. I could talk with maybe Venerable Sam K. We hardly connect about my past. We usually talk about forest work, but now she could talk to me about my past. We could connect. So yeah, being less fixated on things, having this I would say gentleness or this softness within me. It's like not so hard and fast now. Yeah, so I think that's also helpful. And then I could see a lot more habitual patterns that are rising, and yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, and I would believe there's more benefits that will come from purifying the next 2 months. So I look forward to more washing machine experience.